Let's talk about something real. The glow up of turning 50 is a whole thing. Society once told us that our best years are behind us by then. What if turning 50 wasn't the closing of a chapter, but the beginning of a deeper, more meaningful story? Redefining yourself at 50 isn't about chasing more. It's about embracing truth, about honoring your journey, your healing, your joy, choosing peace, walking away from relationships that no longer nourish your spirit, setting boundaries and able to stick to them, waking up and choosing you, walking in your purpose, returning to passions you had to put on pause. It's about being brave enough to live your life on your own terms. Less hustle, more harmony, and we are rewriting this script. It's yours to define. Hey, beautiful people, welcome back to another episode of Don't Hate Monday, the podcast where we reclaim the beginning of the week with intention, joy, and elevation. I'm your host, Kyseé, and today we're kicking off with some serious wisdom, some feel-good vibes, and a reminder that the second act might just be your best one yet. So grab your tea, coffee, or smoothie, and let's jump into the glow-up of redefining 50. All right, guys, let's start with our intention of the day. Today, I embrace the power of my experience and trust that every chapter of my life has value. Let's repeat that and let's mean that. Today, I embrace the power of my experience and trust that every chapter of my life has value. I was reading a book over the weekend. I'm gonna get into it a little later on, but this one piece just reminded me. In the book, she said, God told her, "You never thanked me for making you." Like we get caught up in thanking God, but I was like, yeah, thank you for creating me. We all are something to somebody. I mean, we have to really stop and be like, thank you for making me, because people depend on us. Our affirmation of the day is, I am not behind. I am just getting started. I am not behind. I am just getting started. And that can't be more true. For me, anyway, for me. Our word of the day, resurgence. Rising again into life, activity, or prominence. What a great word. Now let's talk about what we were told 50 would feel like. Oh, you'll slow down. It's all downhill from here. You can't wear that. Oh, it's too late to do that. Now let's talk about what we know. We are building businesses, setting boundaries, and building bodies that don't quit. The real ones, working out for it. We're falling in love with ourselves, with life, and sometimes for real, the first time. We've learned to say no without guilt and yes without fear. We also know these knees aren't the same. These knees ain't the same. Nope. If you 50, you definitely feel me, because you definitely remember Cash Money taking over in the 99 and 2000. Okay? Yeah. So, those knees aren't the same. And let's talk about some of the things people say to you when you hit 50. You don't look 50. You look good for your age. Like, what does 50 even look like? Okay? You're beautiful. I can only imagine how you looked in high school. Some little young boy said that to me, and I was just like, thank you? I don't know. The one I love the most is the, wow, you're glowing. Because yes, I am glowing. That's the wisdom. That's the skincare. And that's peace. So much peace. Let's talk about people turning 50. We got Drew Barrymore. The first time I seen Drew, she was in E.T. How old she was. E.T. had to be in like 1980, so she was about 5. And then I seen her in Firestarter. Then I seen her in like some cat movie. And she's grown now. She's done so much. I love Drew so much. Also turning 50 is Michael Bublé. I always thought Michael Bublé was like Frank Sinatra age. I had no idea he was that young. Tobey Maguire. Can y'all believe Spider-Man is gonna be 50? That blew my mind. I couldn't believe that. Like, what? Yeah, he's going to be 50. Tiger Woods. I remember when Tiger came out. I remember that. I remember that very well. I remember that like it was yesterday. Then we have Eva Longoria, famous for Stepford Wives. Plenty of things, but Stepford Wives. Then we have Kate Winslet turning 50. The Titanic girl is turning 50. I was watching that not too long ago, and her and Leonardo, they look like children and they were, in essence. The time goes by so fast, you don't even realize, like, dang, like, I think at this point, the Titanic is at least like 20. Alexa, when did Titanic come out?
The film Titanic was released in 1997.
Yeah, so that's almost 30 years ago. So they were kids, and they look like it too. They look like it. Let's talk about things turning 50. Jaws, the movie. Wheel of Fortune. And if this is turning 70, how old is Vanna? Because Vanna still looks great. Also, Saturday Night Live was born in 1975, and Microsoft. Talk about celebrity birthdays. We got Russell Crowe today, Jackie Chan, Tony Dorsett, and Bill Bellamy. Happy birthday to them. All right, so it's time for us to get into something a little heavier. This video I'm going to show you on Jasmine Crockett. People are mad at her because they're saying that she's trying to be ghetto. And I want you to watch this video and tell me what you think.
Crockett, the ghetto congresswoman out of Texas, someone has unearthed footage of Jasmine Crockett's behavior and talking style before she decided to become a ghetto queen, the ghetto queen of Congress. Let's watch the before and after video.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. No one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. Listen, he out there, he's hearing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. And we weren't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't, But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat, I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that. If anyone knows anything about the Congresswoman, they know. We showed her, and if he had some sense, then maybe we would have been about that life. But y'all know he ain't got no sense. So please give some love. This took a little bit of coordinating to do, for sure. We got some cool shirts. The congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat. And I was just starting to get into the rhythm of doing constituent services and things like that. We got Madam Williams, who just happens to have the honorary seat. It's not even honorary because she's holding it down, y'all. But the legend himself, John Lewis, that is the seat in which she currently serves. So she honored his legacy. This is the message that she wanted to send today.
Now, their argument from this video is her code switching. They're saying that's very phony. The lady said, I don't code switch. I'm the same every time I go somewhere. I don't try to fit in or, try and be ghetto to fit in. When you go to church, you're the same person. They're saying that they approached her on being the ghetto girl for the Democrats so people can be more relatable. They're valid in their reasons, but I know some ghetto girls. I know some hood rats. And Jasmine is not a hood rat. Now, in that video, what I feel like I seen was a young, naive girl, not too confident, trying to tread lightly. And I feel like now the Jasmine Crockett we see is the one that has always been there. She's comfortable. She let her hair down. And she doesn't have to be timid and shy. She is who she is. Yeah, like she's educated. She went to a private school. But listen, we don't know what her house looked like. We don't know who her parents are. So what do y'all think about that? Tell me in the comments. Do y'all feel like she's ghetto? Do y'all feel like that they're using her to be ghetto to get more people to come in? I just feel like, honestly, I feel like she can explain politics, and I'll say it like this. So this is how I see it. When I talk about skincare, people are like, what? I make it so people can understand, okay? When I talk about skincare, people are looking at me like, well, why I need skincare? You're just trying to sell me anything. No. So have you ever baked a cake? Yeah, I've baked a cake. Most people have baked a cake. Do you prep that cake pan? Yeah. What happens when you don't? That's how I feel like Jasmine presents politics to people. Very easy, not intimidating, very relatable. for people. I think it's just their way of just trying to come for her because she is educated and she is her and she claps back. You know, they talking about being ghetto. That beach blonde, bad build, butch body woman is real ghetto. I mean, like straight from the trailer park. So, I mean, she's got to go toe to toe. And that Bondi woman, listen, I got some stuff on Bondi. I was like, I can't even include it in here because it'll just be too long. I can't even believe she is like the attorney for our country. I can't even believe it. No, I can't believe it. So, and of course, we have to give Cory Booker his flowers on that amazing speech. We have a clip of that.
The people of the United States of America. The power of the people is greater than the people in power. It is time to heed the words of the man I began this whole thing with, John Lewis. I beg folks to take his example of his early days where he made himself determined to show his love for his country at a time the country didn't love him, to love this country so much, to be such a patriot that he endured beatings savagely on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, at lunch counters, on freedom rides. He said he had to do something. He would not normalize a moment like this. He would not just go along with business as usual. He wouldn't know how to solve it. But there's one thing that he would do that I hope we all can do that I think I did a little bit of tonight. He said for us to go out and cause some good trouble, necessary trouble, to redeem the soul of our nation. I want you to redeem the dream. When our founder said we must mutually pledge to each other, our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We need that now from all Americans. This is a moral moment. It's not left or right, it's right or wrong. Let's get in good trouble. My friend, Madam President, I yield the floor.
That speech is so powerful and reflective. He really highlighted the stark contrast between his personal journey and that of the late Senator Strom Thurmond, a known segregationist. Booker, the first black senator from New Jersey, spoke from that very desk once used by Thurmond, emphasizing how history has shifted. While Thurmond once fought to uphold systems of racial oppression, Booker used that same platform to push for justice, equity, and inclusion. His message was clear. Time has changed, and so has the moral arc of the Senate. His presence in that chamber represents both progress and responsibility to keep pushing forward. He used that moment not just to honor how far we've come, but to remind listeners that our time must be used for justice. That's a call to continue planting seeds for the future. We have to really start taking care of us as a whole, as a culture, which is a really good time for me to plug my Sunday night podcast, We Are Not Okay. I do that with my co-host Nasir, and we have discussions about elevating the culture, coming together. Last night was about, well, the last two episodes were about grow teams, literally. Now, we all know prices are going up, and we're wanting to form grow teams. Like, for instance, Jazzy, you know, you grow what you grow and I grow what I grow, but we don't grow the same things. So we can swap. We can cooperate together, keep our money with each other. So if you guys are interested in getting on a grow team, please let me know. The first week we talked about just prepping the soil with compost. And last night, Nasir's roommate from college, he showed us a video of his compost outside, how he preps things. We even went over how you should actually plant the seeds, because I mean, honey, it was a time I just went and did it, and I was doing it all wrong, killed some things, yeah, but he taught us how to do that. So every Sunday here at 7, we are discussing how we can elevate the culture. Next week, we are definitely going to be talking about Donald Trump and how so many people voted against their own values to vote for this man, and now they're disgusted and disappointed. We're going to be talking about that Sunday, so join us on. We have to keep planting those seeds for the future. We have to leave something here for these children to look up to, because if we don't, it's going to be scary. It's already scary. It's going to get scarier. And I mean, like, I'll be 50. Can you imagine if we don't plant these seeds, what it will look like in 30 years? And let's just be real. I'll be 50. I can remember 30 years ago like it was yesterday. Like yesterday. I can remember childhood like it was yesterday. So we know how fast time goes by, which is why we have to be intentional about talking to these children and planting seeds with them. I also have to spotlight The Handmaid's Tale. Clearly, I'm decades behind because my first time ever hearing about this movie was when Super Bowl came and SZA came out and she had the women dressed in red and blue behind her. I can't remember where I was or who I heard make the reference, and they said it was from Handmaid's Tale about currently what's going on. And ever since, I've just been like curious, like, you know, it's been in the back of my head, like I want to see this. And this past weekend, me and my sister friend, we watched it, and when I tell y'all, it was mind blowing. It was like watching 1985, but worse. It's a dystopian novel. It's set in the Republic of Gilead, a theocratic and totalitarian society where women have lost all rights due to widespread of infertility. Fertile women, called handmaids, are forced to bear children for elite couples. Okay. Now the story follows Offred. She's a handmaid, but she remembers life before Gilead when she had a husband, a daughter, and freedom. So she's navigating through this oppressive world, cleaning the small acts of resistance and the hope of escape. Through her eyes, it explores themes of gender oppression, power, religious extremism, and resilience. Chilling and deeply human, The Handmaid's Tale is a warning about what can happen when freedom is stripped in the name of control. It's even a series with five seasons. I don't know how I missed this, but when I watched it, when I tell y'all, we were so disturbed. Like, it was just like, what the? There was so much symbolism. It was red, white, and blue throughout the whole movie. I mean, like, if they went into a bedroom, the walls will be blue, the bed might be white, the curtains might be white, but then they might have red roses. Everything was red, white, and blue. And if you think that halftime show was symbolic, watch that movie. I'm telling you, we were mind blown. It was weird to watch. I'm just like, whoo. That was crazy. If you haven't seen it yet, The Handmaid's Tale, it came out in 1985. I mean, like I said, it was like watching, it was weird. I would watch it. And when I finished, I started a new one and I'd have to talk about it. It's called The Original Black Elite, Daniel Murray and the Story of a Forgotten Era. The first time I heard about this book was on Hillman Talk with Dr. Leah Barlow. She teaches African American studies at North Carolina A&T. And right after Trump was inaugurated and got rid of being woke, she started an online Black history class on TikTok that went viral. And this was the first book to read for the course. I just started, but just the foreword, I was like, wow, it's so powerful. It's an overlooked story of Daniel Murray. He's a self-educated Black man who rose to prominence during the Reconstruction and post-Reconstruction eras in D.C. As an assistant librarian at the Library of Congress, Murray became a symbol of Black excellence, ambition, and resistance in late 19th and early 20th centuries. The book follows his life as he built relationships with U.S. presidents, advocated for civil rights, and cultivated an elite Black community rooted in education, culture, and political engagement. He and his peers believed in racial upliftment, that through intellect, etiquette, and achievement, African Americans could challenge white supremacy and claim their rightful place in American society. But Taylor also explores how Jim Crow laws, the racial violence, the systemic exclusion gradually dismantled this early Black aristocracy. Despite their efforts, many of these Black elite figures, Murray included, were erased from mainstream history. Ultimately, the book reclaims the legacy of a generation of Black Americans who fought for dignity, citizenship, and legacy in a time when the country was trying to shut them out. Does that sound familiar? I understand why she wanted us to read that, because that's exactly what's happening right now. Exactly. It really makes you wonder. Let's talk about something a little lighter. Let's talk about our finance fun fact. Did you know that many women build their strongest financial portfolios after 50? According to Fidelity, women over 50 are among the fastest growing groups of late investors, proving it's never too late to build wealth and wisdom. And I must say that Black women entrepreneurs are the fastest growing business. So sister, go ahead and start that business. You better say that again, Miss Tammy. We figure it out and start catching up. That's what we do. That's what we're known to do. We make something out of nothing. We always have. And that's what I really feel like they can't stand about us. They can't stand it. We only serve one purpose to them, and that's to serve them. And they can't stand when we're smart. Why I'm talking about this, I was also watching The Breakfast Club, and I had the honor of meeting John Hope Bryant. He's the author of Financial Literacy of All. He was a guest. I had never heard of him and instantly became fascinated. He has so much wisdom. I downloaded his audiobook immediately to listen to what he had to say. But we have to really, really, really be smart about how we're using our money. All right. He covers the financial dignity, how we feel free when we have money. He emphasizes that financial literacy is more than just knowing about how to budget. It's about reclaiming dignity. He was talking about the things that we all know better than, like, why do you need 3 cups of Starbucks? Just buy Keurig, you know? If you have not seen that episode, I actually watched 2 episodes. The first episode came on, and do you know how YouTube is? They'll start running and they show the next episode. But when I tell y'all, this man has so much knowledge. I gotta listen to this book, and I want us all to listen to it too. Yeah, Tammy, it's a book. I wish I had it in front of me. It was Financing for Young Adults. Now, I just read that book at my age, and I felt like when you know how you in church and the pastor is preaching, you be like, is he talking to me? That's how I felt when I read that book. You definitely gotta teach them young. And I mean, like, we gotta really teach them, because my mom, she talked about saving money. She was really into insurance. She would say, don't mess your credit up, but she never gave the why. It was just like, just do this. You know how parents are. Don't ask me questions, just do as I say. Like, he was going into it. He broke down why Trump is giving the wealthy a tax break. And when he broke it down, it made so much sense. I'm telling you, again, it was like a light switch, like, wow. He has so much information. Again, his name is John Hope Bryant, and I have his book here so you can see it. He believes nothing changes in your life more than moving from borrower to owner. He owns like 700 rental houses. He owns the most rental houses like of a black person. He also talks about knowing the rules of the game. Just like basketball or chess, money has rules, and the biggest financial mistake is playing without knowing them. He teaches that understanding credit scores, interest, budgeting, and saving is the first step to building wealth and breaking cycles of poverty. He talked about how his mother made $40,000 a year, but when she died, she had hella rental properties and she was worth $1 million, and she worked every day. Definitely, it's crazy. He also talked about credit is more important than cash. Now, that I do know. He states your credit score is more important than how much money you have in the bank. He says, why? Because your credit determines access to housing, loans, jobs, and even opportunity. Good credit unlocks doors, and bad credit can quietly close them. You gotta have your credit. I was talking to my niece yesterday. I said, by any means necessary, do not mess your credit up. And she was saying right now it's messed up, but she's like 22. And I'm like, girl, I had mine messed up too. Then let the people know. The creditors will work with you. They know you're having a hard time because they're regular people too. And he also talked about owning something. Wealth is tied to ownership. Homes, businesses, stocks. He encourages us to shift from consumer to owner. That means instead of just buying Nike, own Nike stock. Instead of renting forever, plan to buy. Ownership equals long-term power. That was another thing I talked to my niece about. I gave her a couple of apps that I use to save money. I said, here, just save some money. And, in 5 years, you can buy a condo. You can have your equity. You can go do whatever you want. I got a couple friends who, their rent is more than my mortgage. They got apartments, 2-bedroom apartments. They're like $2,500, $3,000. I'm like, what? I got a whole house and I don't pay that much. So don't say you can't buy. The most I feel about people is fear. And when I tell you it's so many avenues for us to buy, we just got to go look for it. It's just not going to show up. You got to put effort into it. Faith without works is dead. You just can't think something's going to fall down in front of you and it's going to be there. You got to put the effort in. You'd be surprised. Go ahead and Google first time buying, and you'd be surprised at all the stuff that pops up. Now, I was blessed. My mother, she gave us the house. She signed it over to us because she doesn't want to be bothered no more. So we were blessed to be able to have that. We still gotta be financially literate to keep the home, because from what I heard, family members didn't think we were going to be able to hold the home down. You still had to be savvy with keeping it. I know people who have gotten houses and lost it. because I just didn't know how to manage the money, and he also talks about teaching the next generation. We got to tell the children, we have to have these uncomfortable conversations with them. We have to. You really got to understand how important these things are. Teach them early about saving, investing, how responsible they need to be. This can affect their future. Like I tell the little guys all the time, because I have like Albert Acorn Stash. It's another money rocket. The key for me, this is for me, I have them steal little money from me all over the place. I have this one, like if I spend like $3.84, takes the change and that change and rounds it up. I have another one who takes like $10 a week. I have another one who takes $50 every other week for the Roth IRA. I have it all over, but the key for me is taking a little bit of money that I'm not paying attention to. Now, I'll miss if I try and save $150, $200. I'll miss that. And that's not really logical for a working person. Like I said, the key for me is just little money being stolen and put away. And then you're not even thinking about it. And before you know it, like I've been home for 6 months. I had to go into one of them a couple times and was like, thank God that I had this nest egg. I told my niece, if you start saving this money now, when you hit my age, girl, you got a nice little nest egg. Pass the financial knowledge down. Just like we pass down those recipes, we got to pass down the financial knowledge. Right. All right, so Black History fun fact. It's about Dorothy Height, a rights and women's rights activist. She became the president of the National Council of Negro Women. Leadership has no expiration date. She led with change and elegance and wisdom. One of her famous quotes, greatness is not measured by what a man or woman accomplishes, but by the opposition they have overcome to reach their goals. Hunty. My therapist told me that too. When we was talking about something, she said, you can't worry about that. You got to worry about how you show up. And that's basically what she's saying here. What you got to go through to get to where you're going. And how you show up there is what matters. And of course, we have the health tip of the day. Add one more colorful fruit or veggie to our meals. These antioxidants help skin renewal, joint support, and boost brain clarity. And we need all that, especially turning 50. Antioxidants, think of antioxidants is your freedom fighters. So whenever you take antioxidants, put antioxidants on you, like your vitamin C serum, or you eat your orange, those are like freedom fighters. So they're like, no, don't age us, get away from me. The more of that you eat, the better you are. Honestly, I understand so much now when I'm older. You got to work out. You have to work out. Like, movement is medicine. When I tell people all the time, like, drink water and do yoga, everything will be fine. For real. Because if you drink water is the magic liquid. I don't care what nobody says. Water and green tea with matcha powder. Okay? But you got to take care of the body. You got to eat good. I had to get myself together the other day. I was like, girl, every time you eat this, you're getting fatter and fatter. For that bikini that you think, well, I ain't wearing no bikini, for that bathing suit you're going to put on. So talk to yourself and understand that you got to eat good. You got to work out. I was so miserable when I had my first surgery, because the first foot surgery was horrible. Like, I got a whole new foot. I couldn't move. And when I tell you, after a month of not being able to move, I felt like I aged. Like, my body was aching. It's because I wasn't moving, and my body's not used to that. My body is absolutely not used to not working out for 60 days. Like, what? Never, not ever. We only get one body. We only get one. I feel like that's probably some things that we definitely learn. A lot of things. I can remember several times people saying, these are the best years of your life as a kid. These are the best years of your life. Embrace them. Meanwhile, I want to be grown. The dumbest shit ever. That's the dumbest thing I ever said. I want to be grown. And honestly, I only wanted to be grown to go out. And you know what I'm doing? The same shit I had to do when I was staying inside, reading, watching TV. All that stuff I wanted to get away from when I was a kid. That's exactly what I'm doing now. And then add to paying bills. That was the dumbest thing ever. I tell kids all the time, like, listen, embrace it. All you do is get older. You don't want to get older. You're just going to keep getting older. Take your time. You're never going to be a kid again, but you're going to keep on being an adult. This time only lasts a little bit. Take care of that body, save your money, and that's it. But you definitely got to work out. I'm telling y'all, oh my God. When I decided to do this episode, I asked for 5 women who reinvented themselves at 50. There's Vera Wang, Tina Turner, Julia Childs, and Lisa Price, the owner of Carol's Daughter, and Viola Davis. She was 50 when she got her role in How to Get Away with Murder. And she became the first Black actor to achieve the EGOT status. That's the Emmy, the Grammy, the Oscar, and Tony in her 50s. And I don't really know too much about Viola, other than I love How to Get Away with Murder. So I was like, you know what? Let me download her audiobook. It's called Finding Me, and it's narrated by her. And I'm gonna tell y'all, baby, I don't know what I was expecting, but I absolutely was not expecting that. I mean, one of the things that she says that I love was I was the hero of my own story. That's real, and we gotta definitely believe that we are the hero of our own story. Nobody's gonna come save us. Yes, Tammy, I love that. Same. That's exactly what I do. Once I can't now. I'm only limited to like 20 minutes a day to walk. So, 10 minutes down, 10 minutes back, and it can't be like I speed walk or run. No, you can't do that yet, girl. No. I mean, I'm just grateful to be able to do something. Like I do the 2 miles, 1 mile down, 1 mile back, and I do my yoga for real. So necessary. And I do my yoga. I be wild and I be out there on the sand doing it too. Pilates too. I do Pilates. I have those Pilates bars that I love. I love them. Yeah, those are probably the ones that they kind of knock yoga out the box. I do them both because Pilates is more just muscle training, but yoga is, fat burning, and then your mind, like, oh my God, so good. But anyway, let's talk about this book and why I need to go read it, okay? First of all, her childhood. Little young Viola, she talks about how she had to grow up in poverty. And not just poverty, extreme poverty. I remember one time she was saying how people say, oh, we was broke growing up, but I didn't know it. Like, I'm that person. We were broke growing up. I have no idea. I didn't know that, because we lived in a house. We had our own room. Most of my friends did not. They stayed in the room with their siblings. So I didn't know it was broke until I got older. But her trauma was real. When I tell you resilience, especially for little black girls, it was this one part, several parts, but this one part really, really broke my heart. She was saying how, they usually didn't have heat, sometimes no running water, and how they couldn't bathe, and how the bathroom didn't really work. For the most part, they had to use a bucket to flush the toilet, and the rats, her apartment was infested with rats, and they couldn't even wash their clothes. When they went to bed at night, they would lay in the bed and hear the rats come out the walls and just stay in the bed. If they had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, that wasn't happening. They would just sit there and pee on themselves and then get up and go to school. They didn't have no water to wash. She said they would type stuff and just go out the door, because school was like their outlet. The one part that she was saying, she was a really good student, and she had this one teacher that she loved, and the one day she was there, she noticed the teacher kept on being away from her, and how she was like, the teacher kept talking to her other teacher and like looking at her, and whenever she tried to go over to the teacher would like walk away. So one time she got next to the teacher and was like, hey. And the teacher told her, you have got to tell your mother to get you all some soap and to wash. You smell horrible. When I tell you that broke my heart, Oh God. Can you imagine being a young girl and hearing that from a teacher that you love? And she goes on to say how that same day they got called down to the office, her and her sister. Oh God. They got called down to the office, and the nurse had to teach them how to wash so they wouldn't smell, and what body parts they had to wash. It was so sad. I thought I would never get on here doing this. I'm so sorry, y'all. My bad. It was awful. She started acting, and that was her way out. That's how she dealt with it. Where she had the, you're ugly, you're black. She had that growing up, and that internalized her shame. She never felt like she had a place in society. She always talks about how she had to wear a mask to survive because she didn't come from where everybody else did. Sometimes we have to wear a mask to navigate through life. Sometimes we have to, but as she got older, she got into Juilliard and she started acting. She had some struggles at Juilliard too, because there, she said she felt like everything was like what they do. They wanted to whitewash. It was like, you need to be interchangeable. And she's like, I'm a black girl with a deep voice. It is what it is. So she had to get through typecasting in the industry's expectations of black women. And she had a few different things, but her career defining moment was doubt. I never seen that. Fences, I seen that. and then how to get away with murder. So she is just like the epitome of redefining 50, getting through it, growing up, still standing with poise and elegance. I would have never knew any of that about her. And I'm so happy that I listened to that book. You know, she talks about how she had to stand tall in places that weren't built for us. You know, I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Tell me in the comments how you had to stand up in spaces that weren't built for you. As the good old Shirley Chisholm would say, bring a folding chair to the table if they didn't bring a chair for you. You know? Hey, Day. Good morning. How are you? We're talking about redefining 50. You'll be there in a couple of years. I'll be there this year. So, and then she talked, of course, she talks about how she had to go to therapy. And at one point she was saying how the relationship situation wasn't that great. And then one of her friends she was like, I can't find any good men. And one of her friends was like, have you ever checked your own self? And she said it wasn't like, you know, have you ever checked your own self? It was more like, have you ever did some self-evaluation coming from a place of love? And she hadn't, because then she would have to confront that same little girl growing up, which is why I always say childhood can sometimes be a dangerous place for a child. I don't have any kids, but I'm telling y'all, with just what I've been through, I say put your kids in therapy at 10, because parents, and they don't mean to, our parents will mess us up, and they don't even mean to. They will mess us up with their own ideologies that they were taught that were wrong, and they carried them over, generational curses. And then we start doing things that we thought was right, and you know, and they aren't right. And we grow up with these blockages and these stigmas, and we can't navigate through life. And I just feel like that's how you start seeing, you know, children drinking and doing drugs at a young age, because they just want to escape that. You really, really, really need to talk about therapy, going to therapy, because it's so necessary. And she was one of the, I don't need that. And honey, I'm telling y'all, she absolutely needed that. I'm so happy her friend got her to go. She found peace in therapy, and her husband, it was so cute how she met her husband. She prayed for him and he showed up. It was really cute. I would love for y'all. I have Audible and I just like burn them down. I would love for y'all to go and listen to that book. And she's the narrator. It's just something different when the author reads the book. And it was a great book. Great book. She adopted her daughter because she talks about how she had fibroids, how she had to have 2 surgeries that had to have the same thing. At one time she had like 30 of them. Okay, I don't want to keep giving it up. Healing is all about the healing, building a life grounded in truth. And again, so many times that we grow up and it's a lie. It's a lie. Because don't you talk about what happened in this house. Today you gotta go out and lie about what happened in the house, because you can't talk about what really happened in the house. And then that becomes a backpack. And then something else happens. Before you know, you got all these bags. You don't know how to unpack them. So what you do? I'm just gonna have a drink and fuck that shit. I'll worry about that later. I'm just gonna smoke some weed. And before you know it, your bottle's in. You've elevated from weed to cocaine to crack to ecstasy or whatever. You graduated, and now you're in a place where you can't even get away from, you can't even get out of, because you don't feel like you can. You just don't feel like there's ever a way out of that. So I say start your kids early. Start them early, because if they have, and not only that, like I was talking to my good girlfriend last week, and she found out that her son was getting bullied, you know? So, and it has been going on for a while, and he didn't tell her. I also have a friend who was telling me how her granddaughter just out of nowhere started acting up in school. And she's a good student, and just out of nowhere, she's jumping on the table, hitting the teacher. I said, something's wrong. Oh, they want to put her on medication, of course. No. Something, either she's bored or something happened. But do not medicate that baby. Go have her talk to somebody, and therapists can pull things out of children that we have no idea how to do. That's not our playing field. That's not our assignment. So I would put her, she's only like 5. Put her in therapy. You know, I remember they did that to my godson. Like, you know, he's 30 plus now, but he had ADHD, and they medicated him. And he be mummed out. Meanwhile, he was just super smart and bored. Now, when the next godson was bored, the oldest went all over again. And this time they're in a different district, and he's the same way. But they said, we think he just needs to be skipped. They skipped him a grade, and they never had another problem other than, like, you know, little kid problems, but never had another behavioral problem. So you got to really pay attention to these children. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. It sometimes is uncomfortable. You know, like I didn't feel good about telling my friend something might happen to that baby. Somebody might touch that baby. That was very uncomfortable, but the reality of it is somebody may have. And so what if she only go to her grandmother's house? Do you know that's where most of the stuff happen, over grandma's house and auntie house and uncle house? They be the main ones. So let somebody talk to that baby. Kids, pay attention. Kids are so pure. Another book I read, they was saying how kids are so pure. Like we don't know what's wrong until somebody says no. Because we just go and we're just free spirits. So when you just automatically see some weird stuff with a kid, something happened. And it might be very uncomfortable for you to talk about. But you need to go talk about that because you want that baby to grow up with a nice, clear mental mind, learning how to unpack those bags with intention. All right? We have to do that. You know, I'm always going to talk about therapy. If you are a grown person who I just had a couple homeboys who lost their fathers, and their fathers were in their life, like to the point where if you see the father, you definitely gonna see one of the sons, and they're all over 40. And their father died. You need to go get some therapy because you've had your father for 40, 50 years. That man has always been a staple in your life, and now you don't. I mean, it's one thing if he might be away, you can call. But to never be able to hear him talk again, to never be able to go and get some advice, to never be able to call him like, hey, what's up? That is mentally depressing. And you know, a lot of people gonna be like, you know, they'll start going through that. Let me have a drink. Before you know it, they drunk. And the next day it's the same way. Oh my God, I can't hear. This is happening, that's happening. Have a drink. And that can't be how we navigate through life. And they say as you get older, depression gets worse. And I believe that because I remember my mother was very depressed in her last few days. She had a lot of skeletons, and a lot of skeletons I didn't know about till she died. But when I did hear about them, I said, gosh, I could see why. You know, she was mentally miserable. And, you know, and again, in that era was like, go talking to a therapist? Oh, no, that's taboo. You ain't doing that. So you're left to navigate these experiences of life that aren't quote unquote normal. Because we have what's normal and then we have not normal. And a lot of times we have swept it under the rug and just forget about it. And that's sitting here. And if that happens at a young age and it keeps happening, that's going to elevate into something that is very dangerous. I got sidetracked as I do. She also talked about the power and legacy of having her voice. Now, when she did How to Get Away with Murder, she felt like, well, she did say that she knew that was not written for her. But Shondaland came for her. She wanted her. And she said, I'll do it. But she wanted to be able, in her first episode, be able to take her wig off so that she could be authentic. Because who they wanted her to be, that wasn't her. But she could be that person, but she had to put her stank on it. And that one thing for sure was being able to get home at night and take her wig off like us black girls do. And you got to respect her for that. To be so authentic, like, oh, it can happen like that. You know, it can happen, but it doesn't have to be like that. But, you know, at that moment, she reclaimed her voice and she formed some liberation. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Above all, she never stopped dreaming, regardless of what she went through. And you just don't wake up at 50 and stop dreaming. And I mean, and for me, in fact, my vision has gotten a lot clearer. I've been home for these 6 months. When I tell you, like, I almost feel like I just met me. When you have a lot of time with yourself and you are really dedicated to your evolution, that one book that really, really made a difference, Project 3, but you have to be one too, you know, like I would love to give that book to some people, but a lot of people would be like, that book ain't for me, when it's absolutely about you. And it talks about how we operate in the ego spirit most of the time, the I am spirit. Whoo, honey, I'm telling you. It really made me realize a lot of things going around you, a lot of people that you're with, you know, how you operate. So you just got to keep your vision. It keeps getting clearer. It's so clear for me. And, you know, you got to think about what you still want to build. What do you want? Who do you want to evolve into? It's not the end. 50 is not the end. It's definitely the beginning of you unfiltered. 50 isn't the new 30. 50 is the new free. Say yes to what sets your soul on fire, even if you're scared. You just got to go do it. You only get one time to do this. And what I don't want to do is get 80 and like have a whole bunch of regrets. Of course, you can't live life without regrets. Thanks to Jay-Z. He taught me that early. But at this moment, everything I do is intentional. Of course, I'm going to always learn things. But at the end of the day, at this point, at 50, there's no more saying. Like, you know you know the base of how you're supposed to operate as an adult, even as, it's bad and you know it's right. You know, if you do that, that's a bad decision. It's not like, 20 years ago, if you did that, you'd be like, well, I didn't know. At this point, at 50, you have enough life experience to know like what's right and what's wrong. So what decisions are you going to make? Make sure at this point, everything is intentional. Guys, listen, I held y'all long enough. I'm Kyseé. This is Don't Hate Monday. If you love this episode, please like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Tell me in the comments, how did you feel when you turned 50? What were you doing? Where did you go? I want to hear from you. I already have plans what I'm going to do for my 50th, but I still just want to hear from you guys about what you did, what you're going to do, how you felt. Like I said, when I turned 30, I had like a little bit of a meltdown. I haven't had a meltdown yet about 50, and I think it's just because I'm really I'm in the best space mentally, financially, physically. We're getting there. I have been that I have been in my life. So I want to hear from you. How did it make you feel? Did you have a little meltdown? Thank you, Jasmine. Happy Monday to you too. And I hope you have a great day. Beautiful. Thank you. Also, please watch my other podcast, We Are Not Alone. That is with my co-host Nasir from Kim Unity. And we're here live every Sunday. This is where we discuss elevating the culture. And the past 2 weeks, I told you earlier, we discussed growing together, literally. Getting grow teams. And if you don't understand what grow teams, if you missed it, my braider here is here, Jazzy. So if Jazzy's there, she gets her garden started, I'm here, I get my garden started. What we're not going to do is grow the same thing. We're both not going to have collard greens. She might grow collard greens, I might grow kale, and we'll swap out. Because we need to be able to survive. Because right now with this man in here, we don't know what's going to happen. We talked about prepping your soil with compost, how to plant your seeds, the seeding of it all. Some are cheaper, some are more expensive. Definitely check our podcast out. Next week we're discussing Donald Trump and how many people voted against their own values to put that man in office. And now they're disappointed. And things are in disarray, just to say the least. Join us for those discussions. Also, do not forget to order your viral body butter by Kyseé. Guys, I have finally gotten a flow. When I tell you, when I first launched this website last week, I wasn't expecting that. And I had to get a flow. I had to send some orders out late because I just was not expecting that. But I heard the universe say, don't be surprised when what you asked for shows up. All right. It was a little weird for me though. Of all the orders I got, I only knew one person. I know a lot of people. I knew one person, but I digress. And right now, you're receiving $10 off when you buy 3 full-size body butters. I have a few different options for you, a few different discounts. And go over there and get your body butter. You'll be super soft, super, super soft. Guys, until next time, keep rising, keep evolving, keep glowing. And remember, every Monday is your chance to redefine yourself. I'm Kyseé, and peace out.